The stars stretched endlessly before the lonely signal flickering weakly through the vast emptiness of space. It was faint at first, a whisper in the cosmic wind, an anomaly that might have been overlooked if not for the sharp eyes of Earth's distant observatories. Tuning into frequencies, once thought abandoned, the signal carried with it a desperation, a cry for help from a faraway galaxy. No one recognized the language at first. It was a tangled mess of static and broken syllables. But Earth's machines worked tirelessly to decipher it as human ears strained to understand the meaning. The message was repeated over and over, as if to ensure it was heard by anyone who might listen. Earth, Earth, please. Help. The war, it is killing us. There is no escape. We are dying. We seek refuge. The words were harsh, fractured like a cry from a dying throat. The message came from a fleet of ships scattered across the dark expanse, some barely holding together after years of endless flight, while others seemed to flicker in and out of existence, as if their very presence was beginning to tear apart the fabric of space itself. The transmission was unintelligible at first, with bursts of garbled static. But then the words sharpened through the interference. Human engineers worked feverishly at their consoles. As the language became clearer, slowly the message began to take form, but with it came an even greater question: how could a species survive for so long on the run? As the first translation came through, panic spread across Earth's military and scientific communities. Who were the creatures sending this message? What kind of threat had they survived for so long only to now turn to humanity for help? Was the Earth truly the last bastion for these creatures, or was this some new kind of enemy testing humanity's defenses for a weakness? The signal was coming from deep space, far beyond the reach of any known galaxy. There was no way of pinpointing the exact location with certainty, but the ships were unmistakable. Earth's technology could track even the faintest energy pulse as it traveled across the stars. Their sensors registered the vessel's distress, their hulls worn thin from battle scars, and their systems failing with every passing minute. Their size was unimaginable, larger than anything Earth had ever seen, yet their desperation betrayed the sheer scale of their fall from power. The question lingered in every ear across the planet: why Earth? Why now, of all the places they could go in a universe full of stars? Why seek refuge here? The truth was unknown to all except those hidden deep within the corridors of power. A secret Earth had kept for centuries, a shield, a protective force surrounding the planet, an energy that bent the fabric of space itself, the shield that had kept Earth hidden from the eyes of the universe. For as long as anyone could remember, only now did it seem to have attracted the attention of those in need. But at what cost would this shield be revealed? What would the consequences be if the truth was finally made known to the outside world? The Earth had kept its existence in secrecy for so long that the idea of opening their doors to the unknown was terrifying. The signal continued to pulse, growing fainter as time passed. The message cut off unexpectedly, leaving only the lingering echoes of a plea that may never be answered. Unless the leaders of Earth made a choice no one was prepared to face. The alien fleet drifted closer, a swarm of crippled ships that seemed to flicker in and out of reality, itself their hulls scarred from countless battles, and their once majestic designs, now barely recognizable beneath layers of soot and damage. Earth's military watched them closely through their telescopic sensors with a mixture of awe and dread. There were no signs of aggression, no weaponry on display, no hostile movements, only a slow and deliberate approach, as though the fleet was too exhausted to fight anymore. Yet their journey had taken them across the stars, and beyond anything Earth's scanners could comprehend. The world held its breath as the ships arrived within Earth's orbit, their silhouettes visible against the backdrop of the pale blue planet. They were unlike anything Earth's engineers had ever encountered, sleek vessels that shimmered with an eerie glow, their surfaces constantly shifting, as though the ships themselves were alive, each one pulsed with faint lights that resembled patterns not of technology, but of living creatures embedded within the very fabric of their design. Aboard Earth's space stations, the tension was palpable. Scientists and military officers worked together to monitor the strange fleet, their best minds unable to explain what they were witnessing. Was this some form of first contact, Or were the ships a trap designed to lure humanity into a false sense of security? The fear that gripped the hearts of Earth's leaders was real. If these beings had survived so long while being hunted by a mysterious and seemingly omnipotent force, they might be capable of anything. Communications were attempted, but the ships offered no response except for the same static message: Earth, Refuge. Earth's technological advancements were being tested in real time as they tried to establish direct contact. The signal was coming from deep within the fleet, but it was impossible to pinpoint exactly which ship was broadcasting the distress. The only thing certain was that the fleet was no longer moving under its own power. Each ship drifted in a fragile dance, as though gravity itself could tear them apart at any moment. A massive command ship emerged from the formation, towering above the others, like a forgotten god of the stars. Its surface was covered in strange symbols and markings that seemed to shift as if its entry into Earth's orbit caused a shockwave in the atmosphere that rattled communications for miles and set off alarms across the planet's defense systems. This ship was clearly the heart of the alien fleet, but what it contained was a mystery. Only one thing was clear: it was here not to conquer but to seek salvation. As the ship loomed in Earth's orbit, the world's leaders convened in secret emergency sessions. They had only one choice to make: should they attempt to make contact or prepare for an inevitable attack? The idea of helping these aliens was too risky. They could be harboring a new enemy, one capable of unimaginable destruction. But another voice rose among the leaders, a voice that reminded them of the shield, the powerful force that had kept Earth hidden from the universe for so long. Perhaps this shield could be humanity's greatest asset if they chose to trust the Wanderers. Humanity had always prided itself on its ability to adapt, to survive, to find hope in the darkest of times, but now the question lingered in every mind: was this truly a time for hope, or the beginning of something far darker, something no one could understand? The ship did not move. It hung in space like a giant black eye, staring down at Earth, waiting as if to see what humanity would do next. The massive alien command ship remained suspended above Earth, its shape looming like an ancient monument carved by the stars themselves. The world below buzzed with anxiety, uncertainty clawing at the edges of every conversation and broadcast. Earth's leaders were divided. Some pushed for immediate contact, seeing this as an opportunity to establish an interstellar alliance, to make humanity known to the greater cosmos. Others saw the fleet as an omen, a harbinger of danger too great to ignore, urging Earth to brace for an invasion or worse, an annihilation. The countdown to decision was fast approaching, but as the ship remained silent, the leaders of Earth turned to their most closely guarded secret, one known only to a few at the highest levels: the Earth Shield. Long before humanity had achieved any spacefaring capabilities, Earth had been preparing for threats that were not of this world. A shield, capable of bending and warping the very fabric of spacetime, had been developed in secret. It was humanity's greatest weapon, and it had never been used. Kept hidden for centuries, it had shielded the planet from cosmic threats, intergalactic wars, and alien forces. Earth had remained undisturbed, untouched by the chaos that plagued the universe, because no one had known Earth existed until now. In a hidden facility deep beneath the surface of the Earth's crust, where the shield's control center lay, the planet's leaders gathered to discuss a matter far more pressing than their fears of alien invasion. The shield, once activated, had the power to protect Earth from any known enemy. But it came with a cost. The shield's energy was linked to the fabric of the planet itself, drawing power from the Earth's core, and to activate it meant risking a destabilization of that very core, a catastrophic event that could tear Earth apart. If the fleet's alien plea was to be believed, the shield might be the only thing capable of saving them. But there were other questions, darker, more difficult questions. Could they trust these alien beings, who had come from a distant star only to offer a broken plea for refuge? And what would happen if humanity's most secret weapon was revealed? If the shield was used, it would no longer be a secret. And with the alien fleet now in orbit, Earth's protection would be exposed to the universe forever. The minutes stretched on, each one heavier than the last. In the council room, High-ranking officials argued furiously. Some insisted that Earth should remain hidden, that humanity's survival could no longer depend on a secret shield designed to isolate them from the rest of the cosmos. Others disagreed, arguing that the shield was Earth's only means of survival now, and that the unknown enemy hunting the alien fleet would not hesitate to strike. The aliens, they feared, would be the least of Earth's problems. The debate was interrupted by the sudden crackle of static on the global communication network. A voice, sharp and insistent, broke through the tension. "Earth, do you hear us? We are not your enemies. We are fleeing from a force far greater than any you can imagine. We seek refuge behind your shield. We are lost. We are dying. But you must act now. We cannot withstand much longer." The message from the alien fleet was not the first cry for help, but this time it struck differently. This was not a desperate plea, but a challenge. The aliens were not asking for permission anymore. They were telling Earth what they needed. And soon, Earth would have to decide. Trust these wanderers with their greatest secret or risk losing everything. And all the while, the alien fleet waited, hovering above the world, silent, patient, desperate, as Earth's leaders steeled themselves for a decision that would alter the course of history. The decision had been made, and now, as the world watched with bated breath, Earth's hidden power was about to be revealed to the stars. Earth's leaders, the highest military officials, and the planet's most brilliant minds gathered in the underground facility, where the shield's control center hummed with an eerie life. For the first time in centuries, the shield's activation protocols were being initiated. The Earth shield, a quantum barrier of incomprehensible complexity, would soon hum to life, enveloping the planet in a protective cocoon. The air was thick with tension, the weight of history pressing down on everyone involved. The shield's activation was no simple task. Its energy required synchronization with Earth's core, a delicate balance that no one fully understood. If the shield was too strong, it could tear the planet apart. If it was too weak, it would fail to protect the Earth from the enemies that lurked just beyond the horizon. But the plea from the alien fleet had been clear. Without the shield, they were doomed. And if Earth refused, the swarm of cosmic predators hunting them would soon turn their focus toward humanity. The scientists and engineers worked furiously, inputting commands and calibrating systems. The shield's control center was a labyrinth of glowing screens, flashing lights, and incomprehensible data streams. Every piece of the puzzle had to fit into place before Earth's fate could be sealed. But there was no turning back. Once the shield was active, the world would be exposed, vulnerable not only to the ancient enemy hunting the alien fleet, but to the entire cosmos. Earth would no longer be hidden. In orbit, the alien fleet had remained still, their broken ships waiting in the silence of space. Every minute that passed felt like a lifetime to the desperate beings on board. They had known the risks of their plea. They understood that activating the shield meant exposing Earth to the universe. Yet the alternative was far worse. They had watched their own worlds burn. They had seen their people wiped out by an enemy that did not care for the sanctity of life, an enemy that consumed entire civilizations with no remorse. Earth's shield was their only hope, their last refuge. As the final sequence began, the shield's energy resonated throughout the planet, the hum of the quantum field sending ripples across the Earth's surface. The ground trembled ever so slightly as the shield's vast energy networks activated, pulling energy from deep beneath the planet's crust and directing it into a grid of pulsating energy. The shield's power surged, enveloping the planet in an invisible sphere. Earth's atmosphere shimmered for a moment before it settled into a calm stillness. But then came the price of using the shield. The Earth's core began to vibrate in an unnatural frequency, the tension of the shield's power pulling at the planet's very foundation. The Earth groaned as though it were alive, and those monitoring the systems began to panic. A critical threshold had been reached. The energy required to maintain the shield was beginning to destabilize the core. The Earth's core, now strained beyond its limits, was on the verge of fracture. "Shut it down," one of the engineers screamed as the control panel flashed red, indicating a critical overload. But it was too late. In the silence that followed, the alien ships, those survivors of a dying race, transmitted their final desperate message to Earth. "We understand. We accept the cost. But you must hold fast. The enemy is coming." The shield flickered, its energy now stabilized at the last moment. But the damage had been done. The Earth was safe for now, but it had come at a cost. The cost of knowing that the universe now knew Earth existed, and it would never be hidden again. The Earth was exposed, and whatever followed the alien fleet would now know exactly where to strike. And far beyond the shield, the ancient enemy began to stir, their gaze fixed on the planet that had just unveiled its greatest secret. The Earth shield stood firm, its shimmering barrier stretching across the globe, deflecting the harsh rays of a universe that had long been kept at bay. Humanity had made its choice, and the cost was already becoming clear. The shield, though holding strong for now, had begun to destabilize the planet's core. Earth was not out of danger yet, but for the moment, it had bought itself time. Up above, the alien fleet, a broken procession of ships, now moved cautiously within the shield's perimeter. Earth's military forces maintained a tense watch, but something had changed. The ships that had once seemed so alien, so threatening, now appeared different. They were not invaders. They were survivors, and they were seeking refuge. In one of the larger intact ships, a small delegation of Earth's leaders, scientists, diplomats, and military advisors, boarded a vessel to meet with the aliens. The air inside the ship was cold, sterile, and foreign, the interior lit by flickering, dim lights. The walls were covered with strange symbols, and the hum of alien technology filled the air. As they entered, the ship seemed to respond to their presence, lights pulsing and shifting in a synchronized pattern, as if the very ship was alive and aware of their arrival. The alien leaders, creatures unlike anything humanity had encountered before, stood at the center of the room. They were tall, their bodies long and slender, their faces featureless except for a series of glowing lines that marked their skin. Their eyes, however, held a depth that was both unsettling and wise. They had seen things that Earth's leaders could not yet imagine. "Welcome." The alien leader spoke in perfect English, though their voice was like a distant echo, soft and reverberating, as if coming from deep within the ship's walls. "We have not had many visitors, and we did not expect to find refuge in your world." The humans exchanged wary glances, trying to assess the situation. The alien leader's voice held no malice, but the tone was laden with sadness, a deep sorrow that spoke of loss beyond comprehension. "Your people have endured," the leader continued. "Your shield, its power is immense, but there is a cost, one you may not understand yet." The diplomats and scientists listened closely, each person feeling the weight of the alien leader's words. One scientist, a young woman named Dr. Jensen, spoke up, her voice trembling slightly. "What exactly is it that you've been running from? You said there's an enemy. What is it? How can we help?" The alien leader paused, its glowing eyes dimming for a moment, as if weighing the gravity of the answer. Then, slowly, it spoke again, this time with a bitterness that could not be concealed. "The enemy that pursues us is a force unlike any you can comprehend. They do not seek to conquer, they seek to erase. Their hunger is endless. Their power is boundless. We have watched entire worlds burn, civilizations crumble beneath their touch. They do not care for the lives they destroy. They are like locusts, consuming everything in their path, leaving nothing but dust." A ripple of shock passed through the group of humans. These were not invaders with a lust for power. They were survivors, fleeing from a predator that could not be stopped. The weight of the alien's words hung heavy in the room. "And now," the alien leader continued, "they are coming for you. They know you have activated the shield. They know you are hiding, and they will stop at nothing to destroy everything that stands in their way. Your world, your people, will become just another casualty in their endless hunt. The humans were silent. They had feared that the shield would attract attention, but they had not known the extent of the threat. Earth's shield had kept them hidden for so long, but now it was drawing the most terrifying attention imaginable. "We have one hope left," the alien leader said, lowering its head in sorrow. "You must join us. The shield's power, when combined with ours, could stand a chance against them, but we cannot fight alone. You must trust us, even though it is against your nature." An unexpected silence fell over the room. Trust. It was the most precious, and perhaps the most fragile thing in the galaxy. Humanity had long been isolated, protective of its own interests. But now, they faced a choice: to trust these alien wanderers and forge an alliance with those who had been through horrors beyond comprehension, or to stand alone and risk being wiped out by an enemy that knew no mercy. The decision weighed heavily on their hearts, but as the alien leader's eyes glowed with a hint of hope, they realized something. Perhaps this was not just a plea for survival. It was a call for solidarity in the face of annihilation. Earth could no longer afford to be an island in the cosmos. And so, against all odds, an alliance was born. An unlikely partnership forged not by friendship or kinship, but by the mutual desire to survive. The decision to ally with the alien fleet had been made, but the gravity of the choice began to sink in. Humanity, for the first time, had to confront the realization that the universe was not the peaceful expanse of stars they had once imagined. It was a dangerous, hostile place, and the Earth was no longer hidden in the shadows of isolation. The enemy, the relentless, consuming force the aliens had described, was now aware of Earth's existence. For days after the alliance was formed, Earth's military began preparing for the inevitable. The shield, though powerful, was no longer enough to ensure the planet's safety. The Earth shield's energy had been drained by its activation, and the alien fleet had warned that it could only hold for so long. The force pursuing them, the one the aliens had called the Devourers, was too powerful, too vast, to be stopped by mere defense. The shield would buy time, but it could not stop the coming storm. The Devourers, as described by the alien survivors, were not a single race, but an amalgamation of multiple civilizations that had once been independent, but had been consumed and assimilated by a dark, unstoppable force. The Devourers themselves were a strange, shapeless entity, their true form unknown, a combination of organic and mechanical parts that could adapt to anything they encountered. It was a predator that had devoured countless worlds, leaving only the remains of civilizations in its wake. Its hunger was endless, and once it set its sights on a world, there was no stopping it. The alien fleet, now allied with Earth, began sharing what little they knew about their enemy, though much of it was shrouded in mystery. The Devourers had never been defeated, only evaded, and even that had come at great cost. The aliens had lost everything, their homeworlds, their people, their cultures, all obliterated by the Devourers' insatiable hunger. The remnants of the fleet that Earth had taken in were the last survivors of a once great civilization, and their technology, while advanced, was on the brink of collapse. They had nothing left to fight with except what little remained of their strength. On Earth's military bases, the preparations for war were underway. Ships were being retrofitted to carry the alien technology, weapons, and knowledge that had been shared in the last few days. But there was no denying the difficulty of the task ahead. How could Earth's forces, still inexperienced in the grand theater of space warfare, hope to fight such a relentless, ancient enemy? The thought of standing against the Devourers felt like a death sentence, yet there was no other choice. In the heart of Earth's command center, the leaders sat around a round table, each face illuminated by the glow of holographic projections of Earth's defenses and the incoming Devourer fleet. "We don't have much time," General Markson said, his voice rough, tired from the weeks of constant stress. His eyes, bloodshot from sleepless nights, locked onto the projection of the alien fleet. The Devourers will be here in less than 48 hours. Our shield is weakening. We need a strategy. A tense silence fell over the room. Dr. Jensen, the young scientist who had been part of the team to activate the shield, spoke up. We can't hold them off long enough with just Earth's forces. We need the alien technology. Their ships. If we can figure out how to integrate their weapons with ours, we might have a fighting chance. The alien leader, who had joined the meeting via hologram, nodded solemnly. We will assist you, but know this. Our weapons, while powerful, are attuned to our physiology. We may be able to give you the knowledge to adapt them, but it will take time. Time we don't have. Then we'll make time, General Markson said, his voice firm. We'll take every hour we can get. As Earth's forces scrambled to adapt to the alien technology, the enemy loomed ever closer. The alien fleet had already begun to fortify the Earth's defenses, blending their own systems with humanity's, but it was clear that this would be a battle unlike any before. No one knew what to expect when the Devourers arrived, only that they would be relentless. In the quiet moments between the chaos, Earth's leaders stood together, staring at the glowing map of space before them. There was no more hiding, no more waiting. The time had come to face the darkness that was hurtling toward them, and they had no choice but to fight. The Devourers would soon be here, and the fate of both Earth and the alien survivors rested in the hands of those who dared to stand against the unimaginable. The hours leading up to the battle were tense, thick with the anticipation of inevitable destruction. Earth's defenses had been fortified with the alien technology, but despite their best efforts, no one truly knew if it would be enough. The Devourers were a force of nature, an unyielding and all-consuming entity that had torn through the stars for eons. Their arrival was no longer a question, it was a certainty. As the alien fleet and Earth's forces took position in orbit, the sky darkened, not from the absence of the sun, but from the creeping shadow of the Devourer fleet. It came not as a wave, but as a vast, spreading darkness, an overwhelming presence that filled space with its size and malevolence. The first ship to breach Earth's orbit was a behemoth, its surface alive with shifting, organic shapes that pulsed in time with an eerie rhythm. It resembled nothing human. Its structure was a hybrid of living tissue and cold metal, an impossible combination that seemed to shift constantly, as though the ship itself was evolving in real time. Earth's sensors lit up with blaring alarms, signaling that the enemy had arrived in full force. The Devourer fleet, vast and endless, spread out before Earth in a terrifying display of power. Each ship was a monstrous behemoth, their shapes indeterminate, shifting in ways that defied logic. It was as if the ships themselves were not fully formed, their edges ever-changing, constantly adapting to whatever environment they encountered. They had been designed, or perhaps born, to devour, not just planets, but all that lived and existed within their reach. The alien survivors, once hopeful for sanctuary, now looked upon the approaching enemy with dread. They had seen this before, seen entire star systems fall beneath the Devourer's crushing might. Their once proud civilization, now reduced to a few scattered ships, had never stood a chance against the endless hunger of the Devourers. Now they stood alongside Earth, united in their shared fate. The first exchange of fire came within moments of the Devourers entering range. Earth's newly adapted weapons, designed with the help of the alien fleet, fired upon the oncoming enemies, but the results were devastating. The weapons that had seemed so promising during testing now proved to be far less effective against the sheer, overwhelming force of the Devourers. A single Devourer vessel absorbed the attack, its surface rippling and shifting like liquid metal, and then returned fire with terrifying precision. The energy blasts from the Devourers smashed into the shield, causing ripples across its surface, sending shockwaves through space. For a moment, Earth's shield seemed to hold firm, but the energy required to maintain it was already straining the planet's core. The core, already weakened by the earlier activation, groaned under the pressure. "We need to reinforce the shield," General Markson shouted, watching the data streams flash across his screen. "It won't last much longer at this rate." But there was no time to act. The Devourer's next move was swift and brutal. A single ship, far larger than any of the others, detached itself from the main fleet and began moving toward Earth, its massive bulk blocking out the stars. It was a harbinger of doom, an impenetrable fortress of destruction, and it was headed straight for Earth. "We've got to take that thing down, or this is over," said Captain Harris, the commander of the flagship, her voice tense but resolute. "Focus all firepower on the lead Devourer ship." As the command was relayed, Earth's fleet launched a concentrated attack. The alien ships, their weapons enhanced with Earth's modifications, joined the barrage, but the Devourer ship barely seemed to notice. It absorbed the blasts, its surface warping and contorting as though it was built to do nothing but endure. The alien fleet's leader, aboard the flagship, contacted Earth's forces, his voice a mix of desperation and determination. "You cannot fight this alone. The Devourers will adapt to everything you throw at them. Their hunger is not satisfied by destruction. They grow stronger with every blow they absorb. You must strike at their heart, the core of their power." But the alien leader's words only served to amplify the fear that was creeping through the ranks. How could Earth possibly strike at the heart of an enemy that seemed impervious to all forms of attack? And yet there was no choice. Earth had to fight, had to find a way to break through. If they didn't, the planet and everything they knew would become another forgotten world, lost to the endless devouring. The battle raged on, a desperate struggle in the vast emptiness of space. Earth's fleet, bolstered by the alien alliance, fought with everything they had. But as each second passed, the Devourers only seemed to grow stronger, and the shield protecting Earth began to falter. The fate of humanity and the last remnants of the alien survivors now lay in the balance. The dark shadow of the Devourers was closing in, and there was little time left to find a way to stop them. The Devourer fleet advanced relentlessly, a wall of annihilation that threatened to crush Earth under its weight. The shield, once a beacon of hope, was now flickering, its energy reserves draining with each passing moment. Earth's forces fought with all their might, but they were outmatched, outnumbered, and running out of time. The alien fleet, although brave, was no match for the sheer destructive power of the Devourers. General Markson stared at the main screen, watching as one of Earth's ships disintegrated under the relentless barrage of Devourer fire. The shield's integrity was failing. Earth's defenses were no longer holding. The Earth fleet had taken too many hits, and the planet's core was nearing critical failure. There was no time for another plan, no time for a counterattack. The enemy was too close. "Status report," General Markson barked, his voice sharp with the weight of command. "We've lost communication with the eastern defense line." "Sir," replied Lieutenant Jacobs, eyes wide with horror as he scanned his console. "The shield is down to 20% capacity. We can't hold them much longer." In the control room of the alien flagship, the last of the alien survivors stood, their eyes reflecting the desperation that had gripped their hearts. They had come to Earth to escape the Devourers, to protect what remained of their people. But now, they faced the brutal truth. Earth had become their last hope, and they were losing it. The alien leader, whose species had survived on the edge of extinction, now had no choice but to offer their final sacrifice. "We must initiate the last resort," the alien leader said, his voice carrying the weight of finality. "There is a way, a weapon, a source of energy that, if focused correctly, could destroy the Devourer's core. But it is a one-way journey." The human diplomats, who had been coordinating with the aliens, looked at each other, unsure whether to believe what they had just heard. "A weapon?" Dr. Jensen asked, incredulous. "What kind of weapon?" "The heart of our fleet's power source," the alien leader explained. "It is a weapon that can only be used once. But if combined with your own power, the last surge of energy your shield can provide, it could breach the Devourer's core and shatter them. But at what cost? Captain Harris asked, her voice barely a whisper, knowing the answer before the alien spoke. At the cost of everything, the alien leader replied. Your world, my people, the shield. There will be nothing left. For a moment, there was silence. The weight of the decision was crushing. Earth's military leaders knew that this was their last chance. There was no more room for hesitation. General Markson clenched his fists, his face set in grim determination. We don't have a choice, he said quietly. If this works, we buy time for humanity to rebuild. If it doesn't, then Earth falls. But at least we'll have taken the enemy down with us. The alien leader's ship began its descent, positioning itself between the Devourers and Earth's remaining forces. As the final seconds ticked away, the alien fleet's survivors began powering up their weapon, the energy building in a brilliant, blinding crescendo. Back on Earth, the final charge was being made, the remnants of the shield's power being funneled into the core of the alien weapon. It was the last, desperate measure, a final act of defiance against an unstoppable force. And then, with a deafening silence that seemed to stretch across the galaxy, the weapon activated. A beam of pure, concentrated energy erupted from the alien ship, colliding with the heart of the Devourer fleet. For a moment, the entire universe seemed to hold its breath. The light from the blast shone brighter than 1,000 suns, blinding everyone, even those in space, as the Devourer ships shuddered and cracked under the immense force. The shield, now fully depleted, collapsed, and Earth's atmosphere darkened in the aftermath of the explosion. When the light dimmed, the Devourer fleet was gone. The darkness that had once threatened to swallow the stars had been pushed back, shattered in a single cataclysmic blow. But the victory was hollow. The alien fleet, the source of the weapon, had been destroyed in the process. The shield's power had burned itself out in the final surge. The planet's core was teetering on the brink of collapse, and Earth was left in the silence that followed the battle. In the command center, the leaders of Earth stared at the empty void, where once there had been an enemy fleet. The alien survivors had given their lives, and Earth had been saved. But at a terrible cost. We survived, General Markson said, his voice thick with emotion. But we've lost so much. Our world, it will never be the same. As the remnants of Earth's fleet limped home, humanity knew one thing. The battle had been won, but it was only the beginning. The universe had seen Earth, and though they had faced annihilation, humanity had proven that it would fight, no matter the cost.